You're here. You made it. It's so packed in here. I'm Emma. I'm the curator here at the museum. And I don't want to say much because I want to leave plenty of time for Marcie to talk about her work. But I want to say that this show came together in a very kismet way. We, maybe 9 months ago, we had a hole in the schedule. And if you know me, I never have holes in my schedule. I am planned out through 2029. It was unexpected. But I knew that it was not a big deal because I wasn't stressed about it. I was just like, oh, I'm just going to call Marcie. It's the right moment for us to work together. Fingers crossed that she would say yes. And when we visited about the show initially, back then, she was like, I basically have the show. It's basically ready. I have the idea, I have the work, I have the concept. And so it was just this very natural moment where the opportunity existed at the museum, and then this wonderful regional artist had the work and had the ideas. And I can tell you, I've been doing this work for a long time, and that never happens. And so it was just so delightful to work with Marcie over the past few months and develop the show and all the details. It looks so good in here, and that is due to a lot of labor and painting and ordering and sizing things, and then realizing that the walls are bent in funky ways. And so it looks so gorgeous in here, and that was a lot of intention and labor that went into that. So I want to thank my team, who's around here somewhere, Mac's here, Mac, Garrett, who's not here. I don't think he's here yet, who helped install, and then our friend Taylor, who fabricated this beautiful vitrine in the center of the space that Marcie has filled.
Not leaning on it.
Yeah. I'm gonna be annoying and say that it's so tempting to have a lean. It's kind of perfect leaning heights, but please don't lean on it. It won't break, but it's clean and beautiful, and so we want to keep it that way. I think that's it. I think I'm going to let you start talking, and then we'll go from there. So.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you so much. The only thing that I'm going to correct is it wasn't 9 months ago. It was 6.
It was 6. What is time?
So when Emma, it was quite a remarkable experience to get this email from Emma saying, there's a hole, can you help come and fill it? Because I had been working for the past 2 years on this series that's in here, thinking that, wow, that Nybak Gallery, that would be a great, maybe in 27, 28, maybe sometime in the future. But I was thinking about this gallery as just like a great project space. Mm-hmm. And then look what happened.
I know.
Yes, I also have, the enormous thank yous to Emma and to the staff, who has been incredible in terms of their good-naturedness. And it was not the easiest install, I suppose, in the world. But I'm so happy. And also I want to, is Leanne here?
Leanne
maybe
here,
not.
Yes.
Yeah, Leanne here. That the museum giving this kind of support to artists, and I want to just acknowledge the fact that, a couple of the pieces in here would not exist without the museum's support. They were commissioned. This piece has never been shown before. It was made specifically for this show, as was the vertical film, and as was the photographic mural. So that's all specific to this show, and also to Estero Bay. So I want to kind of launch into talking about where this stuff came from. I moved here with my husband Jeff 9 years ago, and knew nobody, and just came here because we were so passionately in love with the landscape and the estuary, and wanting to live the rest of our lives here. And so the work has really blossomed out of the connection with the natural surroundings, the extraordinary place that many of us live, where the rivers meet the sea, and we have this beautiful protected bay. And so a lot of the work that I'm doing is based in having the opportunity to go to different ecosystems. The first ecosystem I worked with was Estero Bay. And with the work that I started to do 2 years ago, which is photography and then making small sculptures, and then shooting the small sculptures and making films with them. I've gotten the opportunity to go to different art residencies. And so each of the 5 films here is based in a particular ecosystem. The first one that I was able to go to was in Banff in Canada at the Banff Center for the Arts. That was 2 years ago. And the first film was made, oh, that did, set the mood, set the mood. The first film that I made was about 15 months ago. I come from filmmaking, so I had made other films, but this series of short animations was first made at the Sitka Center on the coast of Oregon. And that's where I had the experience of bringing my history of doing time-based work into the photographs and into the small sculptures that I was making and animating them. So it's been a real ride the past 15 months. Did these 5 films, they've been at a lot of festivals, and I guess the energy is coming from trying to deal with my own climate grief. And this work comes out of a lot of, I talk to scientists, I research, I read a lot, probably too much, about what's happening to our climate and the collapse that it is going through. And it's happening in a very, very quick way, and it's scary, and I'm responding to it very deeply with this work. But the work is not just about grief. The grief is where it starts, but where I'm going with it is a hopeful view of regeneration. Maybe some of you are familiar with the concept of the 6th extinction, that there have been 5 big extinction events in the Earth. And it's the first time, I guess, sentient beings have started them, because they've come from meteors and other things, but now we're going through our own. What gives me hope is the fact that this Earth has been through 5 of them and bounced back and created new forms and new life and new mammals and new leaves and trees and everything. So it does bounce back even when it goes down to almost nothing. But what we're going through now is difficult. It's difficult to look at. So for me, to take a very, very long view, the view from before humans to maybe after humans, and what's going to happen in terms of this regeneration and making new forms. So that's what these are. These are the Chimera that I've been building for the last couple of years. And define Chimera for I will now define Chimera. It's a Greek word. It's coming from Greek mythology. Even though, chimeras in mythology are a combination. They are entities that are a combination of maybe human parts, beast parts, a little bit of snake over here, a little bit of goat over here, and they become beings that have extraordinary powers. And these are found in world culture. There are the Nui of Japan, and there are Chimera in South America. It seems to be a kind of format that we as humans are very attracted to in thinking about how we move through the world. But I'm doing a different kind of collaboration between parts. And so my Chimera are made out of seeds and leaves and branches and bones. And then for this particular installation, I've also added ceramics. And I was very lucky. I live in Los Osos, and there was a wonderful ceramic studio. Let's see, is Alicia and Kevin here? Yeah, there they are. Wonderful ceramic studio that has, yay, open in Baywood. Because this stuff, I'm not going to be making it in my backyard. I'm not setting up a whole ceramic studio. So I'm very grateful to have had the timing of not only the invitation from Emma, but also the opening of this great community of people who love clay. And And just one more word about the way clay is used in here. Originally, I had thought I might put a bigger bone in here, and I borrowed a whale vertebra from my friends Carol and Stephen. And it was, it was a little juicy, this whale vertebra, and it didn't want to go in here. But I was able to slump lots of pieces of clay over it. And what amazing happened is that when you take this clay slab and you slump it over these bone forms, it looks like it's alive, you know? And I didn't really have to make it so much look like a clavicle. It really looked like a clavicle, just slumping over there. So that was also a really great connection for me materially in terms of taking these chimera to sort of the next level, because there's a lot of little chimera in here, but there's also the really big one that's got a spine. Let's see, what else do I want to say? I wanted to show you one of the film. I know it's a little bit noisy in here, and maybe at some point you'll be able to come back and listen. To each one of these films has their own soundtrack, and this piece also has its own soundtrack. When it's really quiet and you stand on the X, you will hear the soundtrack for this piece. But it's off right now. It's off right now, but at some point. But if we can, I'd like to show you this one film, which is called Kyushu Triad. And this was made in Japan last year, inspired by a visit to one of the largest volcanoes in Japan. So I'm going to let this run, and then I'm going to take questions.
And maybe some people before her, there has been a kind of frontier of science of seeing the cell having evolved as an ecosystem of its constituent parts, then we multicellular organisms evolving as ecosystems of cells. Are you essentially showing a way forward to the next stage in evolution through these supposedly unrelated component parts, starting to form a new kind of organism that starts as an ecosystem and evolves from there?
I couldn't have said it better myself. No, but what's really what's really core to what you just said is that in kind of studying Chimera and trying to understand how they function, they're not only mythological, but they're also botanical and biological. So there is a kind of a fish, an anglerfish, that 400 million years ago, when one of the big extinction events happened, the anglerfish decided that in order to survive, it would become a chimera, that it would fuse together. And what the anglerfish does is it takes the male and the female, the male attaches itself to the female anglerfish, and they become one organism. They become a biological chimera, and that was their strategy to not need as much energy and to be able to make it through the heating of the oceans. I mean, and then this is the paper that I read, that's what they said. And that made complete sense to me, and I think that that's, you know, what's going to happen as the climate changes so much is that biology, botany will respond to it on a cellular level and species level, and that's where the hope is.
Perhaps accelerated. Thank you.
Absolutely accelerated.
Great work, Marcie. Is this
Thank you.
time-lapse, or is it stop action, or is it something else that I don't even know?
This is a form of stop motion animation. It's a kind of more, it's a high-tech version of stop motion animation. So I think traditionally, a 3-minute film in traditional traditional methods would probably take about 6 months with one person doing it, and this takes 6 weeks. And I've been able to develop an approach to doing stop motion where instead of having to do like 12 different positions per second, I just do 1 or 2, and I have an AI model that I've trained to connect them. So the model has to, I tell the model, you can't add anything, I don't want to see your crazy stuff, you can't do it, you know, stay in my world, use my objects, use my textures, right? And just move it from here to here. And one of the things that I do in terms of prompting this model to put the movement in, and this is called Chimera Haiku, is using haiku. So that's kind of also, you know, if any of you are using any generative AI, you know that prompting is the way you talk. I don't really talk to it through large language models. I more talk to it through, like, here's my picture, here's my other picture, connect the two. But it has taken about the better part of a year to train this assistant to not go off and do its own stuff and just stay here. And talking to it with poetry has been quite helpful.
Do you have a question?
And also, what was my question? Are there any other examples of chimera in nature, like biological chimera?
Yes, there are. There's also, if you see variegated leaves on plants, those are chimera as well. And there's a wonderful, if you go online and just look like worldwide chimera, there is this great site where we should put it on the website. There's a great site where it shows you this huge map, and you can just click on it and it'll show you like what chimera myths appear in these cultures, in these areas.
Maybe just 1 or 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap up and continue the party. Any other questions?
Let's see. I guess I just want to say just one more personal thing, is that when I moved up here, when Jeff and I moved up here 9 years ago, we didn't know anybody. And I look around the room and I see my community. I see my Central Coast buddies, and I see my pottery friends, and I see my family who's come up from LA, and it fills me with so much. It's not even happiness, just this feeling of belonging and feeling of support. I can't express how wonderful it is, because I work a lot alone. I mean, I'm working alone and making these crazy things. And then I come here and people respond to them in whatever way they do, and I'm very appreciative. Yes?
And two more questions. How long have you been doing art for?
Art?
Yeah,
Well, you know.
like this kind of art in general.
This kind?
Yeah, like how long have you been an artist for?
Well, I got an MFA back in 1990, and that was after years of working in film and theater. So I was a designer. Then I was like, but I have like a real, like there's an art part of me that's not just a designer. So I did an MFA, and then I worked as an artist for about 5 years until life took me in another direction. And I had a long career teaching and writing, and it was the gift of the pandemic brought me back into my fine art practice. So this body of work you're looking at, it's really the beginnings, the drawings were 5 years ago, the first photography was 3 years ago, and the first films were about 1.5 years ago.
Tell people about your fabulous little documentary you made about Yvette.
Why don't you?
Just the best.
Yeah.
She's pretty good at this stuff. All of it.
Thank you, Robbie.
Well, let's give Marcie a big round of applause.
Thank you.
And I will encourage you to come back when it's not like whatever is going on and spend time in the show, because there's a lot to look at and digest, and spend time with the films and listen, and the experience of visually exploring the installation here with the sound is quite transporting. So come back. The show is up until October, so you have all summer, and enjoy your night. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.